Hello, everyone, and welcome to our VILS IT monthly meeting. Our focus for today is not only maintenance and inventory, we also have the honor of having part 2 of our rollout showcase for our C9 school district. So we look forward to hearing what they've done for their rollouts coming up at the later part of this call today. Leading our sessions today is our VILS team, including myself, Mike Modis, Technical Project Director, as well as Jane Miller, Carla Kuiper, and Steve Brown. For all of our sessions, we have a digital handout that combines all the links to all the resources that we are going to be sharing today, as well as in our other meetings. Please open that link that was just shared in the chat with you, and notice that those are readily accessible to you. So please bookmark that and keep that handy for any future reference. Our session outcomes for today. We want to start out with sharing some inventory strategies and data and how that can inform our work. We're going to celebrate the successful rollouts of our schools and districts in C9. And we're going to also glean some ideas to support your ongoing success. Just a few norms here as we get started. First of all, we ask that you mute your microphone and then that you unmute that if you're going to speak. We really ask that you be present and fully engaged. And part of that, we'd also like you to share that you're here by filling out the form that will be dropped into the chat so that we know you're here and we can follow up with you as necessary. We ask that you be mindful today and also just be kind to yourself and to others. Our agenda for today, we are going to start with an inclusion activity in the VILS community. We're going to reflect on the inventory data that we collected from our schools last year. And we're going to talk through the inventory report for this year and what's new in that. And then we'll go into the rollout showcase part 2 and have our C9 rollout grand prize drawing. And then we'll just talk about next steps after that.
Alrighty, so now it's time for our inclusion activity. We're actually going to leverage our VILS Academy, VILS community. So in the chat, you're going to see a link for the VILS Academy. So feel free to go ahead and click on that, or also choose number 2 on your digital handout. And once you're there, I want you to go ahead and click on that VILS Academy. And as you enter the Academy and the community itself, you'll see our forums. Now, our VILS team will post thought-provoking collaborative opportunities, while you can also post to leverage and collaborate with nationwide communities. So this is just that place we really want you to have that opportunity to connect. And so we're going to kick it off today by actually logging in. So over here on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see there the logging into the VILS Launchpad Okta, going to VILS Academy, and then over on the left-hand side, going to the VILS community. All righty, so once you're in there, I want you to go ahead and look to the right-hand side of the screen. And you're going to see a forum, and you're going to scroll on down, and you're going to see the question of the week. It actually was last week, so you're going to scroll a little bit, see what's happening there in the forum, and then you're going to reply. Now, for those of you who might not have your username and password currently at this time for the VILS Academy, please go ahead and add your answer to our chat. The rest of you will add it into the actual Academy itself. And then if you don't have your login, please do connect with your TPD, TPM, or your PL contact from VILS. So I'm going to head on over there. So you can see this is where you started. You clicked on VILS Academy, went into the community, and there, if you scrolled on down, there you see that post. In 15 words or less, what's your definition of success? So go ahead and take some moment to do that.
And Jane, as you're logging in, Christy Davis has posted a question in the chat.
Yeah, just if it's locked down and it's not letting you in, go ahead and answer in our chat here in Zoom. For the rest of you, head on in there and click reply. Once you click reply, it'll bring up. Oh, and that's replying to a person. You can actually reply directly to a person in the chat as well if you want to give a kudos and shout out. Scroll on down. Brenda, thanks for that question. I'm going to scroll up to the top here. When you come into the actual academy, here I am at my VILS Academy, and then I went to the VILS community. And then from there, I can scroll on down. Just keep on scrolling because I'm going to have you do a different one than what was at the top. And so you might just have to scroll a little bit longer, and then you're going to click here, click reply, and good to go. Ah, look, excellent. Early just posted, fantastic. Growing each day and becoming a better person than what you were yesterday. Love it. What is your definition of success? If anyone else has any other questions, I'm happy to help navigate and show on the screen as well. Who's going to be our next poster? Right, just in case, I'm going to go back here. We went to Okta, went to VILS Academy, and into the community. From there, let me go over here. We scrolled on down and found that post, and we're replying to it right here. And refresh, see if maybe that's in there. What is your definition for success? Scroll on down. There we go. Ah, feeling satisfied and at peace with what you are doing. Oh, 13 more replies. Look at y'all. This is great. Now, for those of you who've already replied, go back to someone else's and you can like them, or you can reply as well to that specific person. Ah, excellent. We have a couple here in the chat. The clash where needs meet passions and doing what comes naturally meets needs. All right. This is great. Ah, there's more coming here. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to, yeah. So co-hosts, everybody else in the crowd there, go through, read them, like them, give some kudos to our partners here on their success quotes. These are good ones. These are ones we could actually now quote you when we're talking with our other colleagues and things about success. This is great. All righty. Thank you so much, everyone, for partaking in our activity. Do note that, again, a couple times a week, you're going to be seeing the posts come up like you'll see last Thursday. There was one that's called our 1, 2, 3. It's our Thursday 3. You're going to find resources. You're going to find other items that you then can take back to share in your district or in your school as well. So feel free to continue to post and to enjoy the camaraderie we can have, the collaboration we can have, and all that the VILS Academy and the VILS community can offer. So thank you everyone for doing that. Fantastic. All righty. And we're going to head on, Carla, to reflecting on inventory data.
All right, thanks so much, Jane. So in this section, like Jane said, we are going to be reflecting on inventory data. So as our school year is in full swing, we want to take this opportunity to reflect on the inventory information from last school year, 2021 to 2022. And we're hoping that this information will inform our IT practices and our professional learning practices based on this information. By doing this, focusing on both IT and PL, we hope that we will craft partnerships that for success that'll be strengthened, and ultimately the goal is sustainability. All right, next slide. All right, as you noticed in our last IT monthly meeting, we are focusing on our 6 elements of success. So this session, we'll be focusing on element 4, which is consistent access. So for your reference during our session today, we've added some links to the 6 elements of success as resources. And on this slide, you'll see the criteria for element 4. So at this point, I'd like you to read through the criteria, think about which you believe is your strongest and which you would like to strengthen. At this point, you can also add your letters to the chat. So add your strongest criteria first, and then the one that you'd like to strengthen second. You can feel free to access the criteria rubric in the digital handout if you need it. So I'll pause here and give you an opportunity to take a look at the consistent access slide, look at those criteria. Which one is your strongest? Which one is one you'd like to strengthen? Go ahead and type those letters in the chat. All right, great. I'm starting to see some come in.
Yeah, see some
So
strong.
student tech team, I see some areas for strong in student tech teams. I see some growth areas for designated school IT support. So great thoughts coming in. B, strong in digital citizenship.
Carla, I'm always encouraged when I see student tech teams being strong. That's such a great thing to
Same
see.
here, love it. All right, I see lots of different responses coming in. I see a couple of folks who are indicating that they're strong in A and their accessible and robust plan for repairs and replacements. That is really great news. That's great work. I love the variety too. So there's no two are exactly the same. All right, so continue to submit those areas that where you feel strong and those areas you'd like to strengthen. I agree, Steve. Love to hear the plans for repairs. It really speaks to sustainability. All right, so on to the next area. We are going to look at those criteria for reflection. I want you to keep those in mind and look at them as we talk about some of the data from the inventory reports from last year. So based on your criteria reflection, review our overall data based on device incidents. And you'll see on this slide, it's broken out by cohort. So you'll see device incidents, lost, stolen, cracked screens, and it's broken out by cohort. And I want you to take a moment and think about something that you notice and a recommendation that you might suggest. What do you notice? What recommendations would you suggest? If you'd like to share something that you've noticed, please go ahead and come off mute and share that with us. Hi, Vita, would you like to share? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can I talk or is someone else going to talk?
Oh,
I'm good. Okay. I noticed that between cohort 6 and 7, cracked screen devices went down significantly. So something had to have happened between those two cohorts. Maybe they implemented a different device care program or something within their schools that helped alleviate those issues. I also noticed the same thing for the lost devices. It didn't go down as significantly, but it did go down. However, the dead and won't charge percentage did go up quite a bit. So maybe it was a manufacturing error or something. So those are just my thoughts.
nice.
Right, these are great thoughts. Yes, as you can see, differences in cases makes a big difference. Differences, like you said, in when you're looking at dead and won't charge, that speaks to the batteries, and power supplies, things of that nature. So yes, you're hitting in on some of the critical elements.
All right. So on to the next one.
All right, a recommendation. Oh, I'm sorry. Jane, if we could jump back for 1 minute, if we could get one recommendation or one thought, and then we'll jump quickly to the next one.
All right.
I would piggyback off of what Brittany said. I do notice that cohort 7 had the lowest incidence in cracked screens and also stolen devices. But I believe, if I'm sure, cohort 7, at least in Houston, we were online. So that may be part of the reason for that. Recommendation seems that cracked screens is the biggest downfall. So definitely sharing the Chromebook tips as far as swiping and sweeping and checking that keyboard before you close the laptop, because that seems to be the biggest indicator when it comes to cracked screens.
All right, great recommendations there. Great catch there. Seeing that difference there and thinking about online learning at home versus in-person learning. All right. Okay, Jane, let's look at the next one. All right, what do you notice and what recommendations would you make?
And this looks like it's an individual school here.
Yes.
All right. School A, B, C, and D.
All right, if you'd like to share something you noticed, please go ahead and come off mute.
Hi, everybody. Victoria here. Noticing there wasn't a lot of liquid damage.
Oh.
Good, yeah, great observation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only in it's at school C.
Yeah, very
Which is a good-
minimal. Very dehydrated people here.
Which is a good thing, right?
And then again
When
in
it comes to
B,
devices.
Yeah.
yeah. And then in B, there was a high, again, dead won't charge. So, what happened with those devices? Where did those devices come from that they were just dying and not charging?
Mhm.
And I noticed in A also, there weren't a lot of operation failures, and we see an increase and then a great decrease again from B to C to D.
Yes. All right, great observations.
Mhm.
Definitely seeing those differences. The big one is the lack of the operations failure at school A and the liquid damage. Great catches there.
Mhm.
If you'd like to share a recommendation, go ahead and come off mute.
Hi, this is Carolyn Staniak from Milwaukee. In terms of the dead won't charge, I'm a C9 school, and that's what I'm noticing just in the couple weeks that it's been out there.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if this information was from previous cohorts where maybe the return devices weren't wiped or, power washed or, well in the beginning. But I think a recommendation is if for the ones going to be returned before they go back out, that they're totally checked and charged. Because I know us C9 schools, they didn't come charged. So it's nice to just see if it's charging before we actually give students the device.
Mhm.
Right, definitely. Great recommendations. And thank you so much for sharing that. I know just looking at this from your own experience and trying to relate this to the devices you have and looking at some of the things that you've experienced in your school. Thank you so much for those thoughts. And thanks, Ryan, for dropping your thought in as well. Dead won't charge. It's likely just batteries that are allowed to get to dead. So yes, sometimes we see that with the Chromebooks. If they are allowed to go completely to zero, then sometimes they take quite a bit of time to charge again. And definitely.
And we do have a handout. So Brittany, a final thought before we move to the next slide.
All right, I also wanted to mention that we're having some of those dead won't charge issues too with the brand new devices, which could just be a manufacturer error, but also the students making sure they're plugging in the charging cord on the right side of the computer, because a lot of them are trying to charge it on the opposite side and it's not doing anything, right? And also making sure they don't leave it on the charger for an extended period of time might help as well. I know that with, cell phone batteries and things like that, it can expand the battery. I'm not sure if it's the same for Chromebooks, but I would assume it's something similar. So maybe it's getting left on the charger way too long and then they're trying to use it and it doesn't hold its charge and then it just completely bugs out.
Yes, thanks so much for sharing that. There, it is important to note on some of the graphs and charts that we've put up that we are comparing, we could be comparing iPads and Chromebooks across some of these. So thanks for bringing up the issues with the iPads and some of the things that you've observed with the iPads. And thanks, Mike, for your comments. If after fully charging, after dealing with some of those charging issues, definitely submit those warranty claims, because that is something that can help make life easier.
Mhm. Absolutely. There you go.
All right. All right, on to our next slide. We've got a chart in this one. The last piece of data that we're going to reflect on is on the lost, stolen, and in for repair. So take a look. What do you notice? And what recommendations would you suggest? And if you'd like to tell us something you noticed, go ahead and come off mute.
I am really curious about what's going on with school A. It seems
Okay.
that they're pretty successful. I want to know what they're doing, because just comparing, I thought, well, maybe more devices, more lost, more, more not recovered, but that's not the case, being that B is only 2 devices off. So
Right.
their stats are really good on that. And then D, although they have a lot more devices, 874, they didn't have a lot of repairs that needed to happen. So how were they keeping track of that, and
Right.
how were they managing that? Because their stats are really good too for such a high volume.
Right. Great thoughts, great observations.
Carla, one of the things I noticed for school B is having 113 devices in need of repair or out for repair. That's holding that many devices back to send out at one time. Maybe they need a better system of regularly rotating and sending those devices out, so you're not accumulating so many.
Wow. Yes, definitely. I would agree. Working your repair process at the school level, or with your district IT support, it's generally, it would be more desirable to send your devices out in smaller batches. A buildup of 113 could certainly cause issues at the school level, not having enough loaners, not having students not having devices for their learning activities, or not being able to take devices home. Definitely, the more devices that pile up for repair, the more issues can be created.
Yeah.
Great thoughts.
Alrighty.
This is Will. Oh, sorry. We're good.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Recommendations or closing thoughts.
I'm looking at part D there, or school D. There seems to be 200 devices that are unaccounted for completely.
Right. Glad you brought that out. Yes.
So I don't understand, like the numbers look good when you look at the number of devices need to be repaired, and lost or recovered is a little off, and the stolen, not recovered. But then there's 200 devices that are basically unaccounted for. Even if we take the 40-ish that are accounted for, we have 160 that seem to be missing.
Definitely. I'm so glad you brought that out, Will, because sometimes we get reports from schools that will look similar to school D. And look, we get it. You're busy. You're typing numbers into a form or into a slide deck while you're taking calls, working with students, looking for lost devices. We're getting devices ready to send out for repair. So when we see reports like these, sometimes we stop, and it's a great opportunity for us to go back with you, get with you, and then go over these numbers to determine if we see those kind of discrepancies. Hey, there seems to be a count off here of a good number of devices.
point. All right.
All right, awesome conversation, everyone. I know that as we go along, we'll continue to have these dives into data and have these conversations about things that we see and notice and recommendations that we make. So I think everyone who participated, came off mute, or dropped some information in the chat. All of this is really helpful and helps us to craft the kind of content in our webinars that really are relevant to you.
Absolutely. All righty, Steve, on to you.
Sure, thanks. And, we've kind of modeled for you some of the behavior we hope that you're able to do internally as your team, either within the school or between schools or with school and district, as you kind of look at that to see what systems you have you maybe need to adjust, or look at your repairs, or how you issuing devices. So I think that's a great activity and a great exercise. So now that we've looked at last year's data, I kind of want to mention that we're moving forward. We've got a lot of feedback from districts, both from an IT perspective and from our professional learning friends. And, we're looking at making some adjustments and things. So the form will look slightly different. We do collect the inventory twice a year. We do it at the middle of the year and at the end of the year. So if you are, duplicating what you did last year or something, realize that there will be a updated form for you to use this year. Okay, so go ahead and advance for me if you would, Jane, because as we look to this, we're really thinking about, all right, we've got our inventory, when is it due? It's always, a lot of times we work off a deadline. So right there, you're going to see it, December the 16th. Now, the inventory forms really aren't standalone documents. Really, they're embedded as part of your school's portfolio piece that you're putting together, you're assembling. So think about that as you're working. We'll ask for that your inventory to be completed and in, and that can be just another one of your artifacts and things that you're collecting. So then we in turn can share those with our folks as well. So as we started talking our time together today, we mentioned of the 6 elements of success, that most of this is around element 4, which is consistent access. So realize as your team is putting together the portfolio, we're going to have those middle of year calls. And so when it gets to element 4, there will be embedded your inventory, and what you're seeing now is a screenshot that kind of represents that world. So when we do our portfolios, there'll be a link that mentions your inventory, and there'll be a hyperlink there, and you can click and go do that, take all of your numbers and put them in. And then just like we discussed on this call today with our example schools, those will be kinds of elements and kinds of discussions that we want to have at that middle of year and end of year call. So I hope that's helpful for you all as you think about your inventory, you think about your devices. It's never too soon. You think, man, I just rolled these out, Steve. Now you're talking about, I got to worry about counting and turning that in and end of year. But yes, always plan with the end in mind. So I'm going to now pass, I believe, back to you, Jane.
All righty. Thanks so much, Steve. So before we move on to the last portion of our agenda, does anyone have any questions? I know you've been asking questions along the way, but this is an opportunity to, is there any things that come to mind about the inventory, about the element 4, school portfolios, anything that we can demystify and maybe solve with you now before we move on? So take a moment to come off mute or add to the chat.
I just added in the chat, but it wasn't answered. When we were talking about charging issues, and can't remember who said it could be charged too long. For the newest Chromebooks, those seem to be fine. But what's the longest that could they charge it overnight? Because the kids have been really good at taking them home and charging them and where they're 100% in the morning. But is it too long to be whole night? What's the battery issue there?
I know that one of the issues that was spoken to a moment ago was about once they go dead, how long, should you charge them to kind of help them recover? And so CTL had given us guidance that you really, if it goes dead and it doesn't seem to be coming on or charging, they should be charged for overnight 24 hours. So I know that that has been stated as a how you would want to recover from one that's not charging. They'll do that full day of charging. I think on a regular basis, overnight would be okay, but obviously they would unplug it and bring it to school, hopefully that morning. But yeah, I think that overnight piece should be okay.
Yeah. And then the one thing you just want to get away from is plugging it in, unplugging it, plugging it back in, like multiple times in, you know, like if the child goes home, plugs it in, then they work to unplug it, work on it. Then again, that night, they then plug it in again. Every time you're plugging it in, you're using, you know, you're rebooting, you're kind of getting that activated again. And so many charges do start to deplete the battery. So once overnight is, you know, like we said, great way for those kids to have it ready for the next day. It sounds like for you. So that's awesome.
Hi,
All right.
guys.
Mhm.
I just wanted to add one more thing to this. This is Raven Minifield from Birmingham City. One thing I do also suggest is to make sure that students are using the correct charger that does come with the device, because what we've seen is sometimes students will try to use chargers that are 60 watt when usually iPads are 30 watt compatible devices. So we want to make sure that they are using the compatible charger to make sure that we're not overcharging and we're not depleting the battery life on the device.
Bingo. All right. Fantastic tip before we move on. So appreciate that. If anybody does have anything else, please put it in the chat. Let's collate this information and get that out there. So that's awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. And so it is time now for us to build on Element 4 success. And it's from our rollouts that occurred for our C9 schools. They occurred after September 15th. And we want to give a warm welcome to Birmingham City Schools, Broward County Public Schools, Miami-Dade, and Cleveland Metropolitan. You are on the docket today. We can't wait to hear the success you had and how amazing it was for your community. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. And Carla, you're up.
All right. So thank you so much, Jane. So now let's welcome Birmingham City Schools. And with us today, we have Andrea Jones. We also have Carrie Holmes, and they will take things away and start talking about their rollout.
Hey, there we go.
Hi, good afternoon. I am Andrea Jones, the VILS coach at WJ Christian K-8 School. Along with me is Carrie Holmes, the VILS coach at Smith Middle School, and we are from Birmingham City. Birmingham City Schools is the 5th largest school system in Alabama. We are comprised of 42 schools and we serve over 22,000 students. We currently this year have 4 VILS schools and all one-to-one iPads. Our schools, our cohort 7 schools, Wilkerson Middle School and Hudson K-8 schools, they debuted their VILS Learning Labs this year in August. So moving on to our rollout events, WJ Christian's rollout event, we called it a STEM Exploration Expo. It was held Thursday, September 22nd. And because we're a K-8 school, VILS is partnered us with grades 5 through 8. So on that night, we staggered our time so we can reduce the congestion. And on our collage here, starting in the top left, you see our tech team is going through training sessions using the little bits and the spheros prior to rollout. On the right side, we partner with the Magic City chapter of Links, and they meet with our 6th grade girls every month, and they discuss safe use of technology and digital citizenship. And that was a great partnership. And in addition to what we're already doing with Common Sense and Rethink Ed. And across the bottom, the first picture is the student tech team that's posing with our principal, Mr. Lumsey, myself, the VILS coach, and we invited our mayor of Birmingham, Mayor Randall Woodfin. He came out to join our event. On the bottom right, our cheerleaders greeted the parents as they entered the STEM Expo. And I'm going to turn it over to Carrie.
Hello, I'm Carrie Holmes. As Andrea said, I am the VILS coach here at Smith Middle School. And on this slide, we have our flyer. We invited 6th grade only, but then towards the end, we kind of opened it up to 6th and 7th grade to make sure we were getting our devices out. So we had a block party thing. So we had a few food trucks come out. And we had hot dogs and chips and all those things for snacks for available. So the parents came in. Next slide, please. So over here on the right side is our parent table. We got to greet our parents, and they checked in and did their paperwork if the paperwork wasn't already completed. And then the students were swiftly taken off to our STEM lab / lunchroom, and they were able to engage with different items with science, technology, math, and my brain is doing a brain freeze. So that is our slide right here. This is Smith. And then once the parents completed their paperwork, they got the golden ticket, and we celebrated them getting their golden ticket and moving on to getting their device and accessories.
All right, and at WJ Christian, oh, can you go back one slide?
Okay.
Thank you. WJ Christian, as families entered the event, starting on the pictures at the top left, they were directed to check-in tables, and those tables were separated by grade level and homeroom. And at those tables, the teachers verified that their documentation was already submitted and completed. And if they had documents that needed to be signed, they were able to complete those at their time. At the middle row, you see where the students were directed directly to the STEM station, so they didn't stay in line with their parents. And there they explored the merge cubes, the little bit circuits, and sphero robots. And we also had our science teacher with a robotics demonstration that had a little dancing robot there. And across the bottom row, we have our parents. They received a ready for device ticket. They moved to the device pickup table. Our iPads and chargers were pre-labeled, pre-bagged, and clear Ziploc bags. They were boxed and arranged by homeroom. So you gave the ticket to the person at checkout table. They asked for the homeroom, so you knew exactly which box, what grade level to grab it out of. It was scanned out through Destiny, and they received that along with the Rising bag. And we had excellent help from Laura and Elliot that night.
And this is just another picture, collage of pictures from Smith's rollout night. That was one of our sweet treats. That was one of our food trucks. And down here at the bottom, we have a picture of Lauren and Elliot. They got a chance to go to BB's Shaved Ice. So they didn't take their face, but that is them. And that's also that's the parents over there getting their snacks and things, because it was a long night. So we wanted to make sure they had something to munch on. So yes.
All righty.
Great.
Thanks so much.
All right. So thank you so much, Birmingham City Schools. Wonderful rollout event. And just thank you so much for coming on and sharing today. So now next up, let's welcome Broward County Public Schools.
Oh yeah, I just talked to him. I just talked to the superintendent. Yeah, I talked to him because
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so I know we have Forest Glen Middle School with us today, I believe Laura Barris. And so I will go ahead and turn things over to Broward County Public Schools.
Thank you. My name is Laura Barris. I'm the VILS coach at Forest Glen Middle School in Coral Springs, Florida. I'm here today representing Broward County Public Schools. We are the 6th largest school district in the nation and the 2nd largest in the state of Florida. We have 241 schools, a population of 261,000 plus students. And we are very fortunate to have 21 schools that are actively participating in VILS. We have 6 cohort 9 schools that are going one-to-one with iPads. In addition, we have previous cohorts and iPads. We have hotspot schools, and we have 5 Verizon Innovative Learning Labs. You can move to the next slide. So a little bit about Forest Glen. We are located in Coral Springs, Florida. We are a Title I middle school. In addition to VILS, we are very fortunate to have a tea garden food forest, which is being installed at our school as we speak. They started installation today, so we're very excited about that. Our kids are about to grow some food for our community. We also are a Cambridge school, which means we have accelerated courses for our advanced middle schoolers. And that is all about active engagement. So adding iPads to our mix is very exciting because it makes everything a little bit more engaging as well. The pictures you see there are set from some of our family engagement activities, from our tea garden, food forest visitors, and then from our Club Rush event that we have had here recently. Then you can move to the next slide. So we are in a unique position in Broward. We have not received our iPads yet. So we have not officially rolled out. So I'm probably the only person speaking without having conducted a rollout yet. We actually got notification just this morning. My school got notification today that our iPad should be here in the next few days. But we do have plans in place, and that's what we're here to talk about. So like everyone else, we are going to have a rollout event. We have been gathering paperwork for weeks, and so that is all in action. The photos you see on this slide are of our student tech team, which we do have up and running. They are currently working on creating our STEM stations. So they are not only going to create our STEM stations for our rollout event, because we've had time, they are also going to be the leaders of those STEM stations that evening. So we've got that. There is a little picture of a tile there from Canvas. We are a Canvas school district. So we did our digital citizenship through Canvas with kids logging in and working through a series of Nearpod and Common Sense media lessons. We are also infusing digital citizenship through our morning show here at Forest Glen, as well as making it a big, huge part of our positive behavior plan here at school. Everything will run through our positive behavior plan. The picture in the middle on the bottom is of our parent digital citizenship Microsoft form that we use because we're a Microsoft district. And though we haven't rolled out yet, Broward's very excited to finally join everybody else and get those iPads in the hands of our students as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura. I'm sorry. Thank you so much, Laura. We appreciate you sharing everything from Forest Glen Middle School. And so next up, please give a warm welcome to Miami-Dade County Public Schools and Alema Herrera, who is our district lead for Miami-Dade.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Carla, and very happy to be here. Laura, don't worry. We just recently received our iPads. They're pretty much getting unboxed and rolled out like 2 days after. As Carla mentioned, I'm the district lead for the VILS in Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and I'm here to present for one of our cohort 9 middle schools. We are the 4th largest school district in the nation. We have 416 schools, and currently we have 13 VILS schools and 2 hotspot schools. So we're one-to-one iPad schools. And we are at our 4th year, starting with cohort 9. If we can go to the next slide. We started at JFK. They had their first rollout. They have approximately 1,100 students. And during our first day rollout, which I was honored to be there, we rolled out 240 devices. The VILS coach had prepared everything in advance. She had met through one of the core content areas and disseminated information to the students on digital citizenship and very important device care. I can't stress how important the digital citizenship and device care components are to these students. I know as we go and as Steve, you were going through the repairs, I've seen throughout the years that repairs have become less just because the device care has become more of a concern and more stressed upon by the VILS coaches. So they went through a series of digital citizenship lessons through our Common Sense Media. We do at the district have digital citizenship lessons. And again, a very extensive device care checklist and information for the students. There was also parent engagement activities through back to school nights and articulation, where they stressed not only the digital citizenship and device care, but they did stress safety tips and ways to keep their students safe via the internet. We also had, I'm trying to again think of everything that we did. When students received their rollout, everything was already collected. So students who were actually in the rollout day one, which was last week, had already received all their paperwork. Everything was in place. The tech team was there guiding students and helping students in setting up their iCloud account, logging into Clever. We are, everything is single sign-on. So we have all the applications, instructional applications for students. Everything was set. The students had a checklist to kind of go through. It was a seamless process. It took about 5 minutes, depending on the student, on setting up their device, and they were ready to go. It was like a well-oiled machine where students walked in, received their iPad, received their little pinch bag, and set up their iPad, and then rolled out of the auditorium where we had the event.
All right, fantastic. We are on to Farheen, and thank you so much for your presentation and for that great work that you have happening. So, Farheen?
Yes, thank you again, Miami-Dade. Next, we'll welcome Cleveland Metropolitan School District. Today we have Principal Jennifer Woody.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from Brownstown and the Guardians. For CMSD, this year we have 5 schools in addition to Euclid Park, a total of 5 schools that are in cohort 9. And so our rollout happened September 29th. And like most schools, we were anxiously awaiting for our devices. And so currently within our CMSD school district, there are 35,000 students, and we are on the east side of Cleveland. And so if you could go to our CEO was our keynote speaker. And so there's a little bit of snippet there in regards to our CEO joining us that evening, as well as other community members, our city councilman. The president of the city council was also present. If you could go to the next slide, please. Our VILS coach is Mrs. Chick, and along with our IT lead for our building, prior to receipt of the devices, we started conversations about digital citizenship. And so we had a theme with our students, and that was a rollout to remember. And part of that remembrance, it was how to device care and how to be responsible for digital citizenship. And so with that, our students had an opportunity to apply for a student tech team. So they use a QR code and went through an application process, as well as receiving recommendation letters for being part of the tech team. So the tech team became a huge component in the launch of our Verizon Innovative Learning Day. And so there you'll see that our students had an opportunity to create a flyer and to present that flyer out. So I don't know if the video will play real quickly. So these are our families here, and this is the flyer that went out. Again, a rollout to remember. And these are our students leading all of our STEM stations. So all families prior to the day had completed their forms, and so they just come. And so there is sound with it, but so all stations were ran by our students.
That's great.
So the sound is not playing but the students also had an opportunity to disseminate the devices. And so while the sound isn't there, if you have an opportunity to go back on your own and listen, you'll hear the students' point of view about the rollout. Next slide, please. And so with that, we had a lot of media attention at our rollout. And so for our top media coverage, they were more accurate in their communications. And what you see on below our rollout media coverage is you will see that families had a fast pass where they could travel to each STEM station. And we also had a pamphlet of information that was part of that evening where families had to receive a digital citizenship and their role in the process of being a digital citizen as well, as long as they're student, and how to promote digital citizenship, device care at home. So each family did receive that pamphlet. What you see on the left-hand side, but the bottom right, is some of our students, again, running the STEM stations. Our tech team came up with, by each grade level, there was a color code and they were placed. And before the parents could get the device, you had to prove that you've been to the digital citizen parent table. And then the students gave a quick informational on the device care and charging and returning the devices to school. And here you'll see in the middle is the staff members who were present that evening, and then a collage of pictures of, again, our students running all of the STEM stations. What you see right there where you see skip the line, scan me, if parents had already filled out their papers and went over the device care with their students, they just had to scan that and they could skip right into entrance into the event. And next slide, please.
All right, that'll do it. That was your last slide.
Yes.
All righty. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations to you as well as the other schools that presented today. So let's all give a shout out in the chat. Shout out to our schools: Birmingham, Broward, Miami-Dade, Cleveland. Thank you so much for amazing rollouts and the way you described them. You know, like there's comments in the chat, very student-led, student-centered, community-centered. So well done, and love to see it unfold. So you take a look there. Shout outs coming to you right there in the chat. All righty. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking part in that. And we're going to get on to another celebration as we continue to celebrate our schools here. Because Steve, we have another celebration coming up that you're going to give us right now. So tell us a little bit about that.
Right. Thank you, Jane. So if you think about, for those of you who've been the cohort 9 coming in all summer long, we have done a rollout webinar series. And those of you in previous cohorts, you can kind of remember some of those days, how we did our rollout webinars to prep and see. It's great to see the fruition of all that planning and all that work that's done all summer long. And we've always offered an opportunity for those who did our exit tickets and completed that. We would enter anybody who did into a random drawing and issue a prize for participation. Well, always at the end, so after our second round of presentations, we throw all the names from all the previous webinars that have submitted exit tickets. We've put all of them in. We've done the entire random number generator, all of that kind of thing. And I'm proud to say today we have 2 grand prize winners. And if you'll go ahead and advance that slide. And I saw, first of all, Carolyn, as she dropped off, or Carolyn, I think, as she dropped off, I feel like saying, you must be present to win. Sorry, maybe I get that prize. No. So congratulations, Carolyn, from Hamlin Garland School in Milwaukee. And then Tamara Nicolosi from Alice Vale and Tucson Unified. So I greatly appreciate all the hard work all of you did and participating week in and week out in all those webinars. And so I'm glad to see some of those prizes going out. So a little pat on the back to each of you for all that hard work. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Mike, I think, for our next steps.
All right, well, you have one announcement. Jane, if you can go to the next slide.
All right.
And that is, it is now the closing almost of the gap order window for the fall here. So if you are short devices because your enrollment has increased or you have added additional staff, please click the links here that are appropriate and submit a request by the end of this week so that we can begin filling those orders for you as soon as possible here. Our next window will be in the winter here in January and in February. So if you don't have any needs this time, check again in the middle of the year here, and we'll see what your needs are at that point in time.
All righty. Well, fantastic. Thanks, Mike. And another announcement here for you. We have a free conference. It's not for just VILS schools, it's for non-VILS schools as well, from teachers all the way to administrators. An exciting opportunity. It's a partnership between Digital Promise and our Verizon Innovative Learning Schools teams. And there'll be a couple of special guests there during the sessions. It's Ditch the Textbook author Matt Miller, and then blended learning guru Dr. Caitlin Tucker will be there as well. There'll be some great sessions. Again, like we said, research-based strategies, activities for the teachers as well as to the district administrators. And so for you, what we have to make sure it's ease of access, we do have a link for you. If you so choose to share this, you have these 2 slides to share with staff. You also have here the QR code to register and number 6 there in your digital handout as well. But again, just a wonderful opportunity to bring VILS schools and non-VILS schools together in elevating innovation. So that is open, available now for attendees. We know we have about over 300 folks already signed up and we want more. All are welcome. So do pass that on. And our final, of course, we're right here at the 3 minutes to the hour. Want to honor your time. So we do have here for you the 2 digital handout resources that we've had this year. One is the Rollout webinar series, whether you're a C9 school or a C6 to C9. Those are some great resources. They've been updated with the latest and greatest and some new practices that have been occurring. So feel free to access that. It is in link 7. And then we have the IT boot camp as well that will, if you're onboarding new IT or if you're onboarding new coaches or principals, these resources are really helpful to get them started. So feel free to share those. And we do have our next IT monthly meeting is November 2nd. Our actual topic is going to be on best practices for management. There's a registration link. Do note there's a date change. We've taken our December 14th webinar and we've put it on November 2nd because on December 8th, we're going to be announcing and we'll send out more information. But that day was the day of a district leader call. And so what we're doing is we're taking that IT month convening. It's going to be a fall virtual convening for both IT and PL. So on that day of the district leader meeting, it's going to be a day of learning. And we're going to do similar, going to talk about PL, IT partnerships for sustainability, data, a lot of great sessions for you to choose from. And so we'll be putting out information for you very soon, but wanted to give you a heads up that there was a date change for our November meeting, and it will be November 2nd at 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific. All right. So thanks so much, everybody, for being here with us today. If you have any questions, add them in the chat. We'll be here. Come off mute. Type it in there, whatever we need to do to make sure that you are successful and to be of support to you. Feel free, add in ideas, give a shout out to the group, head on out for the day and have a wonderful afternoon. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here.
Hey, Jane, so great to see you. It's Victoria.
Hey, Victoria, nice to see you too.
Hi, thank you to everybody. You guys were wonderful. I'm looking at my calendar and I'll just have a quick question.
Okay.
I have the optional VILS Fall Mini Conference falling on the beginning of November. Is that, am I accurate in that? Is that going to conflict with that IT meeting?
Well, so that's what's shifting to the December 8th as well. So good question. So we had a shift to make sure that we brought everybody together. So thank you for that. We're going to get your calendars. We'll fix up those invites we sent out and we'll switch them out for you. So absolutely correct. So November 2nd is going to be the IT monthly. December 8th will be that mini conference. And then for the IT monthlies, that's it. And then of course, the IT district leader meeting will be on that same day on December 8th. We don't want to give you 2 extra things. We want that to be all in one. So yeah, thanks so much for calibrating. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, and yeah, we have a planning day on the 8th, so I'll see how that all works out. Might
Okay.
work out even better. Thank
All
you.
right, great. Take care.
Hi, this is Crystal Brown from Baltimore Design School. When I'm clicking on the registration link, it still has the old dates in there for December 14th and so on.
Okay. We're gonna make sure we'll change that this week and get that all set. We'll send it out to your calendars.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thanks.